Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It's me, Lucas. This is another chapter in an introduction to the Alchemy of Dreamwork course. Today's talk is going to be all about how to work with your dream journal. And related to that, how to work with your own unique dream symbols and develop your own dream language and dream dictionary to the extent that you can absolutely trust it. You create this language with that part of you that speaks to you in your dreams. Some people call it the higher self, some people call it their soul. I like to call it the divine mother. Whatever that is that brings us these dreams, that too is a part of ourself. And through this process of working with our dreams every single night, we can come to deeply know ourselves. And even beyond that, receive amazing guidance that comes from Mother, from who knows, this amazing, loving, benevolent force that will teach us every night in night school if we simply ask and we commit to a consistent practice. I've learned over the years that the format that my teacher invited me to use, which I've modified over the years, turns out to be really important and helpful. Some of the reasons I will explain throughout the course of this talk. And by the way, while I am sharing my own dream journal in the background of this video, if you're watching it, I don't know of any better way to do this than to literally share my own dream journal and my own dreams and how I work with them. It's also true that you can simply listen to this talk, and I'll be sharing in such a way that you'll receive the essence of this teaching without needing to constantly look at a screen. I have an aversion to looking at screens a whole lot. It seems that it does have some impact on my inner vision. So I limit my screen exposure where possible. And if you're one of those people, by all means, simply listen and pay attention to what I'm sharing with you. I promise you, if you apply it in your life, it will absolutely come to be a deep love and a gift that keeps on giving and transforms your life and the world around you remarkably. Okay, with no further ado, as I had just mentioned, I have on my screen a copy of my dream journal for 2024. Every year, I create a new dream journal. And this is the one that I started in 2024, January 1st. And the way that I work with my dreams, as I have mentioned, and if you haven't listened to the previous videos in this course, I recommend you do that. I did a short video describing the top tips for how to remember your dreams. One of those things is to keep a voice recorder next to you in your bed throughout the night so that immediately after you wake up and remember dreams, you can share those dreams into a voice recorder, and you keep doing that throughout the night. For most people, as this work first opens up, they're catching dreams in the last dream cycle. For most people, there are 3, sometimes 4 cycles where the brain calms down enough, opening a window to see what's going on in that REM sleep mode, where we can remember, capture the dreams, and over time learn to consciously navigate within that in the hypnagogic or hypnopompic state, those times as we're entering into sleep and coming out of sleep. So for most people, when this first starts, they'll remember a couple of dreams, maybe more, during that last dream cycle. And it's awesome when that starts happening. And if you stick to it and you write those dreams down, something about doing that and committing to a practice tells that part of ourself we're paying attention and we're asking for more guidance, and it seems to reinforce those dreams coming through and our ability to remember them with detail and clarity consistently every night. So that's one of the top reasons to start using a dream journal, because it reinforces this practice and it opens up to more and more consistent dream recall. For the first couple of years in doing this practice, for me, it's been over 15 years now. I've been recording my dreams every night, or at least most nights. I was using a handwritten notebook to transcribe my dreams. I record them into a voice recorder. And then a couple of days later, or maybe 3 days later, I will transcribe the dreams that I had captured in the previous nights. And I would write them into a dream journal. As I mentioned before, I much prefer not looking at LCD screens as much as possible. And so I was writing by hand, and that felt really good. And I liked having a hard copy of my dream journal. Over time, I have found that really working with the dream journal in the way that I'll describe in this video is absolutely amazing and super helpful. And there are things you can do with a digital document. In particular, you can search certain words, certain feelings, certain patterns. You can simply type in uh, the name of a dream that you're trying to find within hundreds of dreams for several months, and it'll instantly pop up. That search feature ends up being really, really helpful. So I now use, and for the last many years have been using, Word as a digital document that I can search for transcribing my dreams. I have some clients who actually do all three. They record their dreams first in their voice recorder, they write them down by hand, and then they transcribe their handwritten dream notes into a digital document that's searchable. There's something about revisiting something with multiplicity that reinforces the learning. In my corporate days and my career as an audio video consultant and specialist, I worked at Stanford University for 11 years, helping them with a whole bunch of different projects. And one of those was a really large scale distance learning program. And it was actually taught to me by the professors there that there were case studies that had shown that when they captured the video and the audio of a lecture, and then and provided the ability for the students to listen to it again later, and even better, if they played back that video of their experience in either a lecture or in group breakouts, and the teacher would annotate on top of what was captured to provide extra insights and notes, they found that the students learned and retained a whole lot more than if they had simply listened to it once. So this video capture function has really, really grown in professional teaching institutions of various kinds. And it absolutely is true with Dreamwork. If you record your video once while you're almost asleep. Very often the next morning, I'll wake up, I'll listen to my videos or my audios that I recorded that night, and I'll play back the dreams. And usually there's a couple of them that I had pretty much forgot, that if it weren't for having recorded them into my dream recorders throughout the night, I wouldn't even be able to recall them. So keeping that voice recorder next to you in bed throughout the night and recording immediately is really, really helpful. And then giving yourself the time to transcribe that dream either the next day, the next morning, or as I do 2 or 3 days later, I'll record a few days worth of captured dreams. It gives you an opportunity to go back into the dream and experience it in first person. So you'll find as I share my dreams in more of the videos in the future, I write them in first person. I'm not writing in my journal. I saw myself going to this place and then I did this or that. In the dream journal, the way I'm writing it and re-entering it in the dream journal experience, I write it in the first person, and that would be I am in a wide open field covered with flowers on the left hand side. To my right, I see a large oak tree, for example. Giving ourselves the opportunity to re-enter the dream through the dream journal experience really helps. And when we do that, usually there's additional nuances and detail that comes to mind as we re-experience that dream in our journaling process that we didn't take the time to even record into our voice recorder in our voice recordings throughout the nights. For a while, I used a voice to text translation software. And for some people I've worked with over the years, they do that and find it more efficient and helpful. The software will capture most of the words, and then you can edit it from there and expand on it, add additional details, and then create your dream summary in your daily dream journal entries. I stopped doing that. Now I just play back the audio of the captured dreams. And as I'm listening to that, I'm typing what I experienced and then adding to that all the details and particularly connecting with the feelings. How am I feeling as I'm in this place and this experience? This character that showed up felt this way. Tracking our feeling states in the dreams is really important and has a lot to do with the alchemical transformation that this practice leads us to. So I recommend using a digital document for those reasons. And if you feel more comfortable handwriting your dreams in a hard copy document, that's absolutely great as well. Okay, so if you look at my screen, if you are looking at a screen, you'll see my dream journal starting January 1. And if I just scroll through here, you'll see at the top, I have the date. I center the date on the middle of the page, January 1st. And then to the left of that, I put a header. I call it a scene for the first scene or the first movie that I capture during that night. I call it scene 1. For me, these are like movies throughout the night. And it turns out that we're not only the participant or the observer. We're also the characters and the producer, and apparently so much more, um, as this work opens up more and more. But nonetheless, I call them scenes, each dream that comes throughout the night, starting with scene one, the first dream of the night. And then below that, I'll type out the summary. Again, playing back the voice recording for that first dream of the night, expanding on it with the detail, particularly catching the feeling states of myself and the other characters I experience in that particular scene. And then I'll go to the next scene, the next dream of the night. I'll type out the summary and the next scene. This particular night, I've got scene 4, scene 5, scene 6, 7, 8, 8 scenes of the first day of the year, January 1st of 2024. And then after each scene, I type out the dream summary, and then I go back and I start spending a bit more time processing that dream. And I start by giving it a title, a short phrase which captures the essence of that dream. Again, enabling me to, weeks or months or years later, type in sales manager overdose, a quick way for me to remember this particular dream, which may not actually have all that much significance the days that I'm transcribing them into my journal. And it's amazing to see, sometimes months, even years later, we'll remember a dream that we had that has immense significance. Very often, what we experienced in the dream shows up in real life, quote unquote, for example. So, creating a title next to the scene for each dream is the next step. And underneath the title of the dream, I will usually put a couple of bullet points for keywords, things, beings, places, experiences that happen in the dream. So for this first dream, for example, there was an overdose, there was a feeling of flexibility, compassion, and care. And as I sat with this a bit more, as I'm journaling, I asked myself the question, what kind of dream is this? If you listen to, I think it was the second or third video in this series, I describe the different kinds of dreams and why knowing that is important, particularly helpful if you're using this dream work as a dedicated practice to transform your life. And I detail different kinds of dreams that I have used in my own system of categorization. The most common of which are symbolic dreams. For most people, particularly when they first start doing this work, they'll remember a dream. For example, they're on the beach looking at the ocean. There's some people in the water, and I find myself afraid to jump into the water because there might be sharks in there. Well, when I think about a dream like that, it's obvious to me that that is not a direct guidance dream. It's not a precognitive dream. I'm not astral traveling. I'm not in the spirit world, navigating with, beings and things in the spirit world. It's not any of the other kinds of dreams that I mention in the different kinds of dreams videos. It is the most common type. It is a symbolic dream. It's a dream in my unique symbolic language that my higher self uses. And it's up to me to make sense of what that is. And as I have mentioned, over time, the same symbols show up repeatedly. And if we look at how they show up and we feel into what we think that those symbols mean for us, and this is a big part of the coaching work. It really helps to have an experienced guide, Dreamwork practitioner, who can help you connect with what that symbol means. Someone who has worked through thousands of dreams and seen enough of certain symbols to first ask you what you think that symbol might mean in your unique dream language if it hasn't shown up before. And then after hearing that, very often, people I'm working with will say, "Can you let me know what that is most commonly pointing to for most people?" And I'll let them know. For example, water. If you're looking at the ocean, for many people, water represents in their dream language either emotions or something in the subconscious. Maybe it's feelings, maybe it's something that's underneath the conscious mind. For someone else, it might mean something totally different. They have an entirely different relationship with water. And through the course of working through many, many dreams over time, and again, it helps to have a coach, at least at first. And by the way, this is a big part of why I am going to be sharing my dreams and how I work with them, because you will see sort of how this whole process works and what many of these symbols are and how I track them and work with them. Again, with the intention to provide a wider exposure to this amazing work without having to pay someone an hourly rate for one-on-one sessions. So if you go through the whole however many 10 to 13 videos in this course, you'll get so much for free that when you come to a session with me, if you do work with me directly, we'll be able to be really efficient with your time and focused on and spend that time focusing mostly on that which is most helpful for you without having to teach you a whole lot about the fundamentals of dream work and the particular way that I do it while you're paying for my time in a session. So this is the format I recommend, whether you're working with me or doing it on your own. Transcribe your dream, create a title, break it down by date, break it down by scenes. Ask yourself, what kind of dream is this? And then type that or write that underneath the dream title. For this dream, this sales manager overdose dream, the first dream of the year, it felt to me that this could actually also be direct guidance. I could be being shown something about this person who used to be my sales manager, and that person is not necessarily only a symbol about myself, pointing to attributes that I have within myself that are similar to this character that showed up in the dream. Perhaps I'm actually learning about this particular person and some stuff that he's going through in his life. And my dreams may be guiding me to reach out to him and check in, just see what's going on and how he's doing. So in this case, it's not only a symbolic dream, it's also likely a direct dream, or I wasn't quite sure at the time. And so I put both. It's perhaps symbolic, and it also appears to be direct guidance. So underneath the title of the dream, I'll put whether it's a symbolic, a direct guidance dream, precognitive dream, astral travel, remote viewing, environmental dream, etc. Whatever my first take is on what kind of dream I think it is, and then based upon what that is, I'll give myself the chance to process the dream from that point of view, and often from multiple points of view. I'll look at this first. If this was a symbolic dream, well, what are all the symbols in the dream? If this was a direct dream, what might this be showing me, for example? And there's a whole lot more to how to process our dreams and how to work with them. And I'll go more into that in future videos. The intent of this particular talk is to give you some framework for how to organize your dream journal and to work with it in a way that's really helpful for you. And this format, this structure, this layout is the way I do it and the way a whole bunch of people I've worked with over the years have used, and the way that I recommend for anyone who's going to be working with me directly follow, especially since I'm reading hundreds of dreams a week sometimes, and I need this consistent format and structure and approach to guiding people through this work. And this process that I have refined now over many years absolutely works. And it may also evolve even more over time. Okay, so that is really kind of the essence of how to structure and create your dream journal day by day. You follow that same format, and it grows and grows over time. And very often you'll see similar themes, similar feelings over and over in the dreams. And I'll share more in the next video, in particular in this series, quite a bit more about how to work with all of that. So I'm going to scroll down here to what I mentioned before related to how to work with your dream journal is how to create and work with your own dream symbol dictionary. As we're processing each of these dreams, we identify key symbols or things, places, beings that show up in the dreams. This isn't about feelings, these are things, symbols that in symbolic dreams are pointing to some aspect of ourself or some feeling, or has some particular significance in our soul or our higher self, the mother, whatever we want to call that, uses whatever it can to help us transform our lives. And these symbols are usually pointing to something about ourselves, something that has really helpful significance. And you'll learn more about that in the following video. So And whether you're working with a coach or you're working alone, what I recommend is write down or at least pay attention to. Some people highlight the things that are in their dreams. There's an ocean, there's a surfboard, there's a beach, a sunset. These are all aspects of the dream. And in the process of doing the dream integration and the dream processing, we ask ourselves, well, what might that symbol be pointing to? If you don't have a coach to help you through that process, you might even just type in on the internet a meaning of a certain thing. What does ocean usually represent in a dream? Odds are you'll get back. Usually that is referring to emotions or the subconscious. And again, like I said before, that may not be true for you. If you are working with a coach, you can usually learn more quicker and develop your own dream dictionary more efficiently, and to the extent that it has even more, I guess the word that I want to say is we more trust. We trust those symbols more, and particularly as they show up in dreams over and over. We look at the context of the dream. We see, wow, this ATM machine showed up again. This is pointing to money or something about my relationship with money or abundance. So I find it really helpful to start working on a dream dictionary. Type down, after as you're going through the dreams, type down those symbols and create a definition. What feels most true for you? What does that symbol mean? For example, at the top of my dictionary at the moment, airplanes. Airplanes so often show up in my dreams. For me, there's a broader definition of vehicle that I find myself in a dream, is very often pointing to my forward momentum in life. What that vehicle is telling. If I'm on a tricycle, for example, if I'm on a motorcycle, if I'm on a train, something with a whole lot of momentum behind it, what that vehicle is doing. If I'm sliding all over the road and I can't hit the brakes, or I hit the brakes and they're not doing anything. So the attributes of the symbols are also significant as it relates to, what they're doing and what type they are. In this case, airplane, for me, my current definition of the symbol airplane is a high vibration, spiritually aligned and inclined forward momentum. And if I'm in an airplane flying in the sky, I'm seeing things from a higher perspective. That is the most common correlation that I feel is true for me in my own unique language of dreams. Again, for someone else, it may have a whole different feeling. So, as you're going through your dreams and your dream journal work, I recommend starting to create at the end of your dream journal a dream dictionary. Just put down what these different symbols are and what you think they may mean for you. You might decide to work with a coach to bounce it back and forth with, and you might just type on the internet to learn what different people are saying different symbols seem to mean. But like I said before, it's a very personal thing. Don't take anyone else's definition too seriously. This work and the symbols grow and change over time. So that's kind of it. I do mine in alphabetical order, and it's grown and grown over time. Different symbols keep showing up over and over. And sometimes I'll put down different types of that symbol. For example, dog. Dogs show up all the time in people's dreams. For me, I've got domesticated dog, and within domesticated dog, which most commonly is pointing to the heart for me, or unconditional masculine love. Sometimes there's dogs in my dreams that are humping my leg or humping someone else's leg. And to me, that's pointing to uncontrolled masculine sexual energy. So much of this work is pointing to that in particular. A lot of this work, the alchemy of dream work, is a process of working with this sacred force, this Kundalini energy. And the dreams very often point to how we are in relationship to certain energies, like sexual energy in particular, because there's a lot of significance to that, and coming into right relationship with our sexual energy is something that for me has come up over and over in the past, and turned out it was really, really important and helpful, and a key thing for the opening of divisions, and apparently giving way to that Kundalini energy making its way to the higher centers, so that I'm having clear visions throughout the night, all night, with no ayahuasca, no medicine at all, like a full on ceremony. So, calming the energies, including sexual energy, which is one of the strongest, is a big part of that. Another kind of dog that often shows up for me is a big white dog. And to me, it feels like a protector spirit. And this dog, big dog, shows up in my dreams over and over again. To me, that represents my protector nature, or a feeling of having protection. So there you go. That's how I work with my dream dictionary. And I recommend you add that to your dream journal practice. It's absolutely helpful. I'm going to show you real quick an example of the find feature on Word. If you're in the on just the natural the home header of Word, you can click find at the top of the navigation bar, and then it opens up this navigation window. You can type a word into it, in this case, affluent. And it's showing me here that in my dream journal so far, I have 14 results for the word affluent. And I can sort those by heading or by pages. So there's 14 pages where the word affluent shows up. This is a feeling that keeps on showing up over and over in my dreams. I'm finding myself in an affluent neighborhood with affluent people. This is one particular feeling state that keeps coming up over and over again. And so I recently did this search to see how many times affluent came up and where it did. And then I went into all of those dreams and read them all in detail again. And it was really helpful to connect with that feeling, all these dreams showing me over and over again this state of consciousness of affluence, helping me remember and connect with that feeling. Um, if I mean, I can type in any word, and same thing happens. Dog, I get 21 results, 21 pages in which the word dog shows up in my dreams. So again, underneath the dream title, I type in the different kind of dream that it is. It's a symbolic dream. And then underneath that, I bulletize the main symbols that were in that dream. And I'll also often add feelings in those bullets underneath the type of dream. So in this dream, I'm looking at up on the screen for January 20th. This particular dream, the symbols that popped out was in an apartment. A friend of mine named Loli. There was a dog, a tuk-tuk, which is like this little taxi, toys and young children, and the number 54. So if I'm really being detailed with my dream dictionary, I might go and for each one of these words, apartment, loli, dog, tuk-tuk, toys, young children, I might type down in that dream dictionary what each of those symbols seems to be pointing to for me. For example, an apartment. If I'm in an apartment, again, in the broader sense of things, the place I find myself in, a room, a building, an apartment, bedroom, whether it's my home or somewhere else, maybe I'm in a hotel. This is pointing to where I'm living at the moment. If I'm in a hotel, for example, this is a temporary state of consciousness. It's not my permanent residence. It's a stage that I'm moving through. My friend Loli represents this really pure, clear, spiritual, feminine energy. I mentioned what a dog means. If I'm in a tuk-tuk, I'm in someone else's vehicle taking a ride somewhere. Someone else is driving me to my destination. Toys and young children, maybe pointing to my inner child, a playful nature, and so on. So that is pretty much the format and structure and purpose of creating a dream journal and developing your own unique dream symbol language and how that works, and why this practice is really helpful in the alchemical process of transforming your consciousness to the extent that you find yourself feeling happy, feeling these states of love and above most of the time for no reason. And that is so much of what this work is all about. It turns out it's actually not the things, the beings that we're seeking in life. It's a feeling, to feel at peace, to be joyful, to be present most of the time. And it turns out that when we do that, the dream of our waking life smiles back at us and it reflects what we're feeling most of the time on the inside. And I'll expand on that a whole lot more in future videos. So hopefully this has been helpful for you. If you haven't watched the previous videos in this series, I recommend you do. I quickly break down the different kinds of dreams and specifically tips for how to remember your dreams. The next step, of course, is writing them down, keeping a dream journal consistently. And in the next video and future videos, I'll be sharing more about how to interpret your dreams and so much more. So thank you. Thank you so much for showing up and listening. Stay tuned for more. Keep dreaming like your life depends on it, because it does. Bye for now.